My name is Anthony Barocas. I am a 20-year live streaming, multi-camera, live switching broadcast producer based in the Dallas area of Texas. What is the prize? The giveaway is every week YoloLiv provides a giveaway of 1 month of free bonding. So if you haven't tried bonding and would like to try bonding, if you already have bonding and subscribe to it, then you can, it'll be added to your plan. Your plan will just be extended a month. If you don't have bonding, this is a great way to try it out. All you have to do is go to bit.ly, YOLO, Tech Talk Wednesdays, or point your phone at that thing. Actually, I'm going to try it out myself. Richard Samor says, I'd like some advice on decent microphones from Paris. You're in Paris, but I don't know what decent microphones are in Paris. But I am using a little, what they call a short shotgun mount. It's a little microphone, but it's directional. So it's down here on my table, and that here. Let me go to. I have set up this over here. Hello, everyone. This is the studio. This is all the stuff I have in front of me while I'm doing this show. And I have this little microphone right here, and this is the microphone that is picking up the audio for the program that everyone is listening to. Let me just make sure that that is working here as well. Yep, Instagram does have the audio. All right, let's go back and make that big again. And if you have, this is a Sennheiser version of that, and if there are all kinds from like $17 to hundreds of dollars. I have it mounted down here because I found for my show, again, we're talking about you have to make it work for you. Trial and error, you evolve. I initially had it mounted up here on a mount because everybody says, oh, you just fly it in from over top. But if I'm looking down and I'm demonstrating, my voice is headed this way and not that way. And I could actually hear a difference between when I was looking down and when I was talking to the camera. So I moved the camera down here for my show. And that way, when I am demonstrating something on the devices, I'm looking down here and my voice goes directly to the microphone. And that is one of the key things. I stand in one spot, so this works out great. But if I move back, if I've moved from side to side, you can hear it. So if you are doing something like that, you know, there are any number of these small boxed 2.4 gig microphones. I'm going to hold it up here for the Instagram people. This is the Full Aim 1000, but Rode everybody has them now. And these make it so you can put the receiver on the YoloBox, do a little clip on here, and then wherever I might go, the audio comes with me, and it's always exactly the same, and it's nice and close. There's less room reverb and everything. Back here, I've treated my room. I have green screen, which you can see that in the main view becomes my background. But in the side view, you definitely see that, you know, this is the same camera, you know, the front camera is being keyed, but this side camera is not being keyed, just so you can see exactly what's going on here. Behind this fabric is more fabric. There's a gray screen, because sometimes I have clients that want to come in here and film against just a neutral photographic gray modeled background. So I take the green down and I have the gray. I mean, I could key it in there, but it's just cleaner just going against gray. And that also helps to dampen the sound so that the audio doesn't sound like I'm in a little box, even though technically I am in a little box. It's just a small little, for most of the world, 5 meter by 5 meter room that is my studio. And then I actually have two different sets here. This is one set with the green screen, and then I do tech videos and I rotate all of this. All this is actually on wheels. I rotate all of this, and that is my backdrop for my own content for YouTube. But that is a great way to make sure that you could have one person, you could have two people talking side by side, and then you've got two microphones that make it easy to hear both people. There's even little kits like this that will connect to 4 different little wireless transmitters, and that makes it easy to be like here, 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 and you're done. Now they're all charging again. So a decent microphone really depends on what you want to do. Some people really like the broadcaster look. So you have the arm, and then you have a large condenser microphone right in front of you that gives you really close and present sound, good audio, and it also gives the appearance that it's something important because I've got this big microphone in front of me. I personally don't want to have that, which is why I like to have my hands, and I for the demonstrations that I do, I literally could not have a big microphone arm coming in here. That would just always be in the way. But if you're just sitting around a table having a conversation, it gives you something. It gives you something, visually to have there. And then often people will like move it and adjust it and touch it because it gives them something to do with their hands. Otherwise, you're just keeping your hands on the table and it gets kind of boring. J-Film Lumix, yeah, I have 6 of them. I have standardized for DSLRs. I have 6. I have a GH3 and 5 GH4s, and the GH cameras make good cameras for video because you have the large sensor, large-ish. It's in between, it's not APS-C, it's definitely not full frame, but when you can get the bodies, you hunt around on the used market. I purchased the last 3 that I purchased, I got for $300 each. $300 for a 4K full-featured camera that I can put on any lens I want is a steal, considering the Sony ZV-1 that I'm using as my main camera is still running at $600 for a limited zoom internal lens camera. Good camera. I like it. I use it here because I can, it does this cool focus thing. That's why I use it there. Great, super fast, instant focus, which it can do because it's got the internal lens. Because these have on interchangeable lenses, the focus is not as good on this, but they make great steady shots. So if I cut over here to my wide shot, that is the GH3 with my 7mm lens on it. And that gives me a super wide. So you can pick the lens, what you want to do, super wide. And that is what an interchangeable lens gives you, both the shallower depth of field to get that depth and the ability to interchange the lenses. You want to see something really crazy? I'll take this little pancake lens. This one folds up. So this is a little zoom lens that it folds up, and that's nice. But if you were on Facebook, I have a group called B4 on M43, and I started that like 9 years ago now. And when these came out, these are great, but there's no zoom. There's no smooth zooming lens on a DSLR. At least then there wasn't. 5 years later, now they finally came around and built them. But till then, this is the lens I put on my Micro Four Thirds camera. This is a broadcast lens for an ENG camera, and you just put it on like that. At this point, you're mounting the camera to the lens. You're not putting the lens on the camera. And the foot actually holds the lens. The foot does not hold the camera. The camera just comes right off. So you mount this on the tripod because all the weight's here. It's the glass. And anybody who knows cameras knows it's all about the glass. It's all about the glass. But what does this monstrosity give me? Oh, you can't see this because it's green. You can see it over here. It's green. This gives me a 15x zoom with a doubler, so it's actually like 30, and constant aperture, constant focus. It's parfocal, so I can zoom all the way in, focus, and zoom all the way out. It's still in focus, and I can smoothly zoom at a nice rate. Or if I'm doing sports, I can quickly zoom in and out and follow the action. So that's what this monstrosity gives me. So what's the perfect camera for using with your YoloBox? It depends on what you want to do. This would be the perfect lens for somebody. I don't use it in the studio because it's not the perfect lens for my studio. But when I do sports, or if I do an event where I need to have the camera in the back of the room and I need to zoom in using 120, so 240 millimeters, I've got that. So that's just an example. Oh, check that out. Down here, you can't. Let's go to the Pro. As I walk over here, the little camera is following me. So again, as I was saying, hey, if you're doing something and you're demoing stuff, like I want to come over here and pull a camera or a lens, I could talk about this and come back over here and talk about it and move in and show it to you and come back over here. So this is another example of, well, what's the perfect camera? Well, this little OBSBot Mini is tracking me. It's super affordable, super tiny, super light. It's actually being powered by the YoloBox. The one USB cable is providing video and power, and it's tracking me wherever I might go. I'm going over here, I'm going over here. Look, I'm talking about things in the other set now. Hey, that might be even easier than rotating everything. I'll just get a rotating camera. So lots of different options for people who are looking to build their own home studio. You know, you could use a PTZ camera like the OBSBot Air, or even this one. You could use a tracking camera. You could use a DSLR if you want the shallow depth of field. You could use what I've got, like the ZV-1. It's a little compact point and shoot camera. You could use I actually don't have a video camera out, but I do have an arsenal of 3 Sony Handycams that I use for events that they're perfect for. I have a big Pelican. They're all packed up with all the accessories ready to go. So different capabilities, different tools for different needs. That's what I always say. You know, people say, well, I want to use, J Film says hello on Instagram. Did I miss that? Here, I can wave. There we go. I waved. Thank you all for joining me on Instagram. Hopefully it is coming through good on Instagram. You can all let me know in the comments. Which is better? You know, should I do my live show? I want to do my vertical live show to Instagram, but I want to do it on the YoloBox. I'm like, no, the way things are set up on the InStream and the show that I'm even sending to InStream is different than the show that I'm sending to the horizontal formats. So I am separating those 2 different tasks in 2 different tools because each tool is purpose built for that task. Same with cameras. There's not one best camera. There's not one best microphone. So for me, having this down here and not wearing something is the best solution for me, you know. How do you light up your green screen in your studio? Great transition to the next segment, which is lighting. Lighting is so important. You can have the best cameras, but if you don't have good lights, they're going to look like crap. You can have crap cameras, but if you got good light, they'll look good. I mean, I've got a webcam here, and honestly, I look at the output of the Pro over here. I look at the input into the Pro, I should say, from the webcam. This is the webcam over here, and this is my main camera. You can see how my finger's moving between the 2 things, main camera, webcam. Aside from the white being a little off on the webcam, it kind of needs there to be something white so that you can see how it's like adjusting. I put something, ooh, got to iris down, ooh, gonna iris up, ooh, gonna iris down. I would love to be able to like manually control the settings on that through like a web interface or something, because I think it's a little bit too bright, a little contrasty too. But as you can see, the background here, actually I should go to that. The background is it's pretty flat. If I get really close, you'll see shadows. But if I move away, those shadows go away. So the first thing with the green screen is no shadows. And the best way to get no shadows is have big diffuse sources. You know, you can get, it used to be through fluorescence. You put multiple fluorescents in this big soft box those work great. They do the job. I mean, they're, fluorescent is not the best solution. Now they have LED models, but either way, the bigger the source you have. I have a 4 foot or 1.5 meters about soft light that you can see, in the wide shot right above me here. That makes it so where this light is being blocked, that light hits. Where this light is being blocked, that light hits. So my head is not casting a shadow on there. The closer I get to that, the more irrelevant it gets. The closer I get to the backdrop, you can see eventually, yeah, there's that shadow. But even in the green screen, if you're watching, the horizontal version, that is still cutting pretty well, even though I'm here. Now, I did add 2 lights down the bottom underneath my production table to illuminate the bottom because this is up above. What I don't have is something down below. So I added that right down here. And then, as you can see, I've got a little bit of light on my head here. So I have a little backlight up high, and I have another one over there for when I'm on that set. That light is my backlight, and then I have a light over here. That's my backlight. That gives me a little bit of edge separation, and because light bounces, the green or the white light that's hitting the green is actually bouncing off and would be on my shoulders, but the backlight helps to offset whatever green is being cast onto me from the backlight, and then I lose my shoulders when I do the key. But as you saw when I picked up that lens with the green, anything green will go away. If you have a magazine with a green header, you will see it goes away. It has this weird, like, wait, I can see right through him type of thing. Wait, let's go this way. I can see right through him. So you have to be careful what you wear, what you hold, what you show when you have the green screen going. But that's the key thing, is making it so I have the soft light hitting me and making sure it's got a good distance to the backdrop, because you have to remember there's what they call the inverse square law. If I double the distance, it's now 1/4 the intensity. If I double that distance, it's now 1/4 the intensity. If I half the distance, it's now 4 times as bright. Inverse square law. So you have to find that right balance between distance, brightness, and making sure it's softly illuminated. Technically, I still have a little bit of softness here on the very, very edges, where I could, having a vertical light on either side, like one of those big pole LEDs shining on there. And then you can even get creative and use green LEDs, shine green onto green, and it gets even greener and it becomes easier to key. You might think you don't want the background too bright. You want to keep it dark. You actually don't, because the chroma keyers work better if the green is like super green. And if you can tell me what movie that's from, you get extra bonus points. How are you holding up your green screen? Are those Varipoles? What are they called again? These are the Bogen auto poles. I have 2 Bogen auto poles because I didn't drill holes in the ceiling up there. So I have an auto pole pushing from the floor to the ceiling, and so it's non-destructive. I didn't install it. And then I have Bogen clamps holding a mast that goes all the way across to another auto pole that's going vertically top to bottom. I do have plans to rip all this out and actually put in a multi-backdrop system, but I just haven't gotten around to it. So again, even what I have here is it's always in flux. Is there something that suits my needs better? I'm going to improve it. I'm going to test other things. I'm going to test that with the webcam. Does that help me? I stand in one spot mostly, so auto tracking doesn't really help. Perfect example of your studio. Our school colors are green, so our chroma curtain is blue and not green as most have. You have to adapt to your needs. Yes, absolutely. I have, originally you can see my wall is red, and it is really, really red. I really like that about this room. When we moved here, it had this deep red wall, that kind of like the background that I have behind me in the virtual background. And the interesting thing is that I initially tried to key on that, and there's enough red in your skin, or in, in skin. It was just a nightmare. It was a nightmare. So yeah, that those hopes were quickly dashed. And green is very not in most skin tones. It's in another area of the vector scope. But yeah, if you've got uniforms or logos or something that have green in them, yeah, you have to go. That's why there's green screen and blue screen. There's two different ones, and both are built into all the YoloBox Pro, the InStream, and the Mini. I think it's smart to wait for PTZ cameras where you can control white balance and other settings. There are many that you can, and there, as I said, there may be a way with these, with the webcam, to go in and set it to manual settings and then just have it stay that way. I have not hooked this up to a computer yet. There's lots of other features in this little camera, that there's like a desktop mode where you can have it shoot the desktop, and then in the camera it's actually going to correct the keystoning so it looks like it's looking straight down from above, which would be pretty cool. Wouldn't work for my situation. I actually need to have a looking straight down just because of the angle of how I've got things tilted. And if you watched last week's show, you saw we talked about these cages and things like that. So I am once again using the PK1 to hold the Pro that I'm doing this show with. So what I'm pointing out here is, if I were to, no, not the iris, if I were to adjust the, that's the focus. If I were to adjust the zoom, there we go. And then the focus, there we go. This is at an angle, and if I have a webcam up here at an angle, then the problem is this webcam is going to see things at an angle, and it's not really going to see the screen of what I'm doing, so it couldn't correct. I actually need to have an overhead camera looking straight down at the screen so that when I'm demoing things, you can actually see what I'm doing. So this camera is an AIDA HDMI camera. It's not a USB camera, and then it has a CS mount lens, and this is very focal, which doesn't mean focus, it means focal length, and it's a variable focal length, which means it zooms. So this is a zoomable lens, but as you saw when I tried to change the shot, unlike the big lenses, the broadcast lenses, when you change the zoom, you lose the focus and you have to refocus. So that's a difference. This is not parfocal, those are parfocal. And parfocal means it holds focus when you zoom, once it's calibrated. So if you have any other studio questions, throw them in. We're nearing the end of the show, but I appreciate you all being here. Hey, we got a couple more names in, and on Instagram, I don't have a way to show you the what's going on. Maybe what I'll do next week is down here on Insta, I will loop through the output of the Pro into here so that when I do the overlays, you can see them on the little program thing at the bottom of the screen. So what I'm actually doing is I'm looping in my ATEM, and that kind of is like when I have this multi-view, why do I have so much stuff on the table? Well, this Pro is what I'm using to show. This Pro is what I'm using to actually do the show. The comments, the camera switching, the pre-show countdown, the titles, the giveaways, and all that are all happening over on this machine. This is my demo, and that's the actual production machine. I have the Insta, or the InStream going to Insta right here. But I have this massive switcher over here. Like, why do I have this? And this is actually an upgrade. Originally I had the A10 Mini because I needed more inputs than the 3, and I needed 4, and then I needed 5, and then I needed 6. Right now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have 6 things plugged into it. But what it's also doing is it's splitting the output and going to both the Pro and the Insta. So on Instagram, when you see this view at the bottom of the screen, it's actually coming out of the ATEM Mini. So it's actually acting kind of as a video splitter or a distribution amp as well. But what it does is it lets me switch what's in that other frame. So I can go to the laptop, I can go to, well, the vertical, I can go to the output of the Pro, I can go to my overhead camera, I can go to the other horizontal camera, which is not hooked up, and I can go to this camera that I set up special for today's show. And that way, I only need one PIP. I only need one, multi-view. And it's easy to switch what's in that side because that is not a camera. That is the output, or if you're on Instagram, that is the output of this switcher. So whatever I switch to on that, and it makes it easy because I can, just touch it too. I don't have to, ooh, that was interesting. Did I turn on I'll turn that title off. I can easily switch between the different cameras without looking because it has big fat buttons that you can touch. It's not a touch screen where you have to look at it to make sure that you're touching the right spot. I can feel the buttons, and that way I don't have to look at it. I can just easily switch between things without ever looking at it. So that's another advantage of having a physical control surface for your cameras before going into your YoloBox. If, however, you need auto switch, you can kind of do that with a macro on the ATEM, or you could use the auto switch in the YoloBox and the InStream. Month of bonding. With that, I will bid you adieu and look forward to seeing you all next week.